walk for the Giants. Deep, Ricky Sanders and Keith Griffin. It's Griffin about a yard deep in his own end zone. The Giants down, and they are, at least the special teams, looking very fired up. Jay Schrader will start at quarterback. Here's the defense he'll look at. One of the best. Martin, Eric Howard starting at nose tackle, and Leonard Marshall. Linebackers, Andy Hidden for Lawrence Taylor, Carson, Pepper Johnson in the middle, and Carl Banks. And the secondary of Collins and Williams on the corners, Kennard and Hill, the safety. Jay Schrader has Kelvin Bryant in the backfield with him, and he gets the ball first. The Giants are there in a hurry. Pepper Johnson there first. The Redskins offense. Schrader the quarterback. George Rogers was supposed to start. Bryant did. Art Monk and Gary Clark the wide receivers. They used two tight ends, Don Warren and Clint Didier. Up front it's Jacoby McKenzie, Jeff Bostic at center, Thielman at right guard, and Mark May at right tackle. Monk is split wide to the left and Clark to the right. To Bryant again. Banks and a fumble. Recovered by the Giants by Kenny Hill. And they'll take over deep in Redskin territory.
That was an interesting way that they started, Pat. They started Kelvin Bryant, as you said, at running back instead of George Rogers. And watch who's in the backfield. Their tight end, Donnie Warren, number 85. So they wanted to start out. They wanted to be able to run. Of course, they didn't make anything on the first play. Then in the second play, they come up with a fumble.
And the Giants come out in a hurry. First and goal from the 7-yard line. Joe Morris and Maurice Carthon, who has seen very little action this year, particularly since the strike, will be back there with Morris. That's the combination that ran so well last year.
I would think they're checking the instant replay here, because they have held it off. Let's see if we can see again. They want to see, is the knee down, is he down before the ball comes out? Of course, from that angle, you can't tell whether Carl Banks' tackle made the tackle or whether the ground knocked the ball out. Or whether Carl Banks knocked it out or the ground knocked it out.
Fritz Draft, the official up in the replay booth, along with Val Pinchbeck. Pat Haggerty. Play stands as ruled. It's first and goal from between the 7 and 8. Phil Simms at quarterback. The ball to Joe Morris, who did well to hang on. He's hit by Charles Mann, who came across like a shot. A loss of 6.
And the Giants have not only had trouble running the ball, but they've had trouble on that right side. And you can see William Roberts, the right tackle, starts out. He completely misses Charles Mann. He shot an air ball at him.
Second and goal at the 13. Phil Simms has his two wide receivers to the left. Lionel Manuel moves in motion. Simms back to throw it. Under pressure, gets it up and down the middle to Baker. Monty Coleman brought him down. They picked up 6. Still, it's third and goal from the 8, or the 7 make it. Pat Hodgson doing the signaling in to Phil Simms. Third and goal from the 7. No score yet. Giants recovered a Redskin fumble on their first offensive series. That's how they got this deep. Manuel and Baker this time both to the right. Manuel on the move and Simms back to throw again. Incomplete. Intended or in the direction of Manuel. And they'll have to settle for 3, and Joe Gibbs and the Redskins have to be somewhat elated about that. Certainly not about the fumble. Allegre has had problems of late, not from this distance, from further out. Jeff Rutledge will hold for him. It'll be from 24 yards. Rained all day yesterday and has been drizzling all day today. Rutledge with a good pickup, and Allegre is right down the middle. 3-0. With 12:41 left to play in the first quarter at RFK Stadium, it's the Giants 3, Washington nothing. Allegre hits from 24 yards.
And one of the things Joe Gibbs said last night, Pat, is that we have to run and we have to stay with it. He said we probably won't have much success at it early, but I'm sure when he was talking about not having much success, he didn't mean a second down fumble. Bill Parcells says we can't have those turnovers either. Against the Saints last week, the Giants had 8 turnovers. He said we aren't that good this year, but we're not good enough to give the ball up 8 times and beat anyone.
And the Redskins, if you look at the scoreboard, New Orleans is now ahead of Pittsburgh. Indianapolis scoring a lot of points. Cincinnati and the Jets tied at 20. Philadelphia over New England. Ricky Sanders this time. Dances to about the 28. Buffalo shut out Miami. St. Louis beating Atlanta in the fourth quarter. And the Bears have moved 23-10 ahead of Green Bay. That's in the fourth. The Giants scoring drive, if you can call it such, 4 plays. 24-yard field goal by Allegre following the Washington fumble. Clark comes wide to the right. Monk is split wide to the left. Still Kelvin Bryant. Schrader's going to put it up. Outside to Donnie Warren. Warren gets to about 6, 7, call it. Stopped by Perry Williams.
He's really an unused guy as a pass receiver, Donnie Warren. You see that he's only caught 3 passes all year. Of course, they go to the wide receivers first, and then the other tight end, Clint Didier. And, of course, the last receiver is going to get the ball is Don Warren, because he's mostly a blocker.
Second down. This is Kelvin Bryant. Hit right at the line of scrimmage and hit hard. First by Kenny Hill. He lunged for about a yard. It'll bring up a third down situation.
You know, that's the thing. When you can get the strong safety up there, like the Giants did, they get Kenny Hill. He's going to get right up there in the backfield before they get there. Now, that gives you 8 in this group, and there's only 7 blockers, so you get a 7 on 8. You see, once he can get up there, see the motion? He comes up, and he's right in the backfield when they get to the line.
3rd and 2. Ricky Sanders was the man in motion. Schrader gets it outside to Didier, and Didier can't find the handle. Juggled and dropped. The Redskins will have to punt. The area, John, where the Redskins have for so long excelled is the area that's really given them problems, other than the rushing you've been talking about, and that is special teams.
Well, that's the thing. In fact, they brought in a special coach and a friend of Joe Gibbs's just to look at the special teams to see if there's anything he could find.
He had a kickoff returned last week against the Rams, and a punt blocked as well. Steve Cox hangs a good one to Phil McConkey, signals fair catch and makes it. And the Giants will take over at their own 21. Giants will take over with Phil Simms at quarterback at their own 22 with 10:57 left in the first quarter. They lead 3-0. Harthon and Morris behind Simms. To Morris. And Morris breaks out of the pack. Morris almost broke it all the way outside the 30, enough for a first down. A pickup of 11. Todd Bowles made the stop.
Watch Joe Morris here. This is what he does as well as anyone. He takes the ball here, starts it up, and then cuts back when he feels anything back to this side. Now watch as it develops. He starts here, Now he starts up in the hole. Now look, right there, he sees that cutback, goes back against the grain, and picks up the yardage.
They go to Carthon this time, who's hit behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of 2. Those of you who watch New Orleans beat Pittsburgh, welcome to RFK Stadium in Washington. 3-0 here. The Giants recovered a fumble at the 8-yard line and took it in from there. At a 24-yard field goal by Allegre. It's 2nd and 12 now. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 2nd down and 12. Throwing down for Sam. Instead he gives to Morris. He doesn't believe it's a throwing down. Todd Bowles again had to make the stop. A gain of 12. And that's going to be close to another first down.
You know, if you can say anything about the Giants and what's wrong with the Giants and the difference between them last year and this year, I think it's that. I think it's the year Joe Morris had last year and maybe just generally just their running game. You know, last year they were a running team who could pass. And this year they just can't get that run going.
Well, this is the setup, Carthon and Morris, that got it done for him last year. And it's starting to get it done again for him this year. Morris depends so much on Carthon and his blocking.
Well, this is the way that he does it. Watch Mark Bavaro up there at the end. He's blocking there against Kaufman, number 55. And he's, again, a guy who is a big part of this running game. I mean, you know, he has to get that block, and he has to hold the block because the back has to come all the way across the backfield.
Morris got 4. It's 2nd and 6. Giants at their own 48. It's going to be Morris again on the counter play. A little bit of room, not much. He just got off across midfield, a gain of 3. Dean Hamill tripped him up.
Yeah, they could
5
talk.
carries, 24 yards. Excuse me, Joe.
I was just saying that they can talk about quarterbacks and confidence and injuries and all that. But the thing that gives any NFL quarterback the most confidence is a running game. When they have that going, then they know that they don't have to carry the whole load themselves, and they're much looser and much better.
You can dictate what happens after that. On 3rd down. Monty Coleman and Dean Hamill on the stop, and that's not enough for a first down. And Vendetta comes on the punt. That defensive effort, the offensive effort.
Well, Dean Hamill was the guy who got through there and made the penetration.
Vendetta. Eric Yarber is back deep for the Redskins, standing at his own 10-yard line. A rocket. Beautiful kick by Landetta. Yarber fielded it at his own 10-yard line, and he's off to the races. Landetta made the stop, and he made a pretty good tackle, especially for a kicker. Those of you that watch the Bears beat the Packers 23-10, it's Pat Summerall and John Madden, and we're at RFK Stadium in Washington, where the Giants lead the Redskins 3-0. We're in the first quarter, 7:06 remaining.
On special teams this week.
Before and after practice, George Rogers is the running back. Update. Let's take you back to our studios in New York. Brent Musburger.
Well, Pat, the New Orleans Saints come marching in. They wrap up their first winning season in history. They pick off this Malone pass with time running out. Now let's send you back to Pat Summerall.
Congratulations in order to Jim Mora and the New Orleans Saints. Here's Rogers. Straight ahead. He got hit hard. Hedden was the first man to hit him. That's the huge knee of Dave Butts being looked at.
Well, he came out on the 2nd down play. He limped off the field. Probably one of the best things that players have today are those knee braces.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially on a day like this and a field like this. It's a great asset. Third down and 4. Here's Slater back to throw and out quickly to Gary Clark. And Clark, who can really burn it, gets up the sideline and out of bounds inside at the 40-yard line. Terry Williams knocked him out.
But Clark, he's coming in motion, so that puts 3 wide receivers over on one side. One goes deep, one goes medium, and Clark was a short guy. They get him the ball, a little spin and out of bounds.
And they get Pepper Johnson, the linebacker, covering him.
That's right. When he came over there, and became the third wide receiver, then they had to get a linebacker on it. But it all started with this good protection.
Raider in a hurry, again going to Clark. Incomplete. You know, they were telling us at Redskin Park yesterday that Gary Clark had the flu and was weak. Every time we've heard about him being sick or weak or pulled hamstring or something, he's spectacular.
I think he's one of the toughest guys in the league. You know, we've seen him when he couldn't run the day before, he could hardly walk, and come out and have big games. When they say, well, he's sick, he has the flu, it's such a joke, I bet he has a big day.
Second down and 10 at the Giant 40. Giants leading 3-0. Kelvin Bryant, the deep back. Raiders fakes to him. Going deep for Ricky Sanders. He made a diving catch, but out of bounds. Mark Collins was the defender. Spectacular grab by Ricky Sanders, but all he got out of it was a lot of dirt.
Jay Schrader was saying that the problem he's had this year is overthrowing his receivers on the deep pass. Now that is a perfect pass, though. I mean, it's just a little to the right, a little out of bounds, but that had the right distance on it.
A heck of a catch by Ricky Sanders. And Bill Parcells said last night, you know, the guy that's really been doing some things for the Redskins is that guy, number 83.
He's their third wide receiver, and they use 3 of them a lot.
They got him in there now. Sanders, Clark, and Monk, third and long. Slater has time and goes again, this time to Clark. Intercepted by Mark Collins in the end zone, and he's going to bring it out. Caught from behind by Monk as he got back to about the 22. Giants will take over.
Well, they tried it once, and Ricky Sanders made a great catch out of bounds, so now they're going to come right back on Mark Collins again. This time, he watches the ball all the way. Gets his right hand up there, and Clark just gives him a little push, then goes up with the interception. Talks to him a little bit, says, what the heck, I'll take it out of here.
You stay here, I'm coming out. First down, Giants at their own 24. 5:11 remaining first quarter. Sims gives to Morris. Morris over the left side. Stopped by Darrell Grant after a pickup of 2. Dexter Manley with an assist.
Dude, they try and do, anytime you get a pass rusher like Dexter Manley, who's really going to get up the field, then you try and run draws on him or traps. And that time they tried to trap him. They tried to let him go up the field, then both kick him out with an off guard coming, but he saw it.
Dave Butts, by the way, on 2nd and 8 is back in the game at left defensive tackle for Washington. He had a cramp in his leg. Here's Sims with time. Hawthorne makes the catch. Flag on the play. Mel Kaufman brought Maurice Hawthorne down. A pickup of 25, but a penalty marker on the play. It's going to be against the Redskins. Pat Haggerty. Something is wrong with the officials, Mike.
What he called was holding on Barry Wilburn, number 45 here. You can see him right there. That's a pretty good call. You can't get out of that. Watch Brad Benson on Dexter Manley here. Manley goes to the inside, and Benson just tackles him down with the help of Billy Ard.
Sims to Morris on first down, and Joe Morris rattles the right side for about 5. Alvin Walton made the stop. You saw that score perhaps a minute ago between New England and Philadelphia. Philadelphia looked like they had total control. The Patriots got 3 touchdowns in 7 minutes in the last quarter, the fourth quarter, to put it in overtime. Baker split wide to the left, Manuel to the right. Bavaro on the move. He was close to being in motion. Here's Morris. Hammers to the Redskin 35. Todd Bowles stopped him, but I think Bavaro is moving forward.
He was, but I'll tell you one thing. Maurice Carthon had a heck of a collision with Alvin Walton. That's the way fullbacks are supposed to block safety.
Maurice Carthon, long renowned as one of the best blocking fullbacks.
Illegal motion. Offense.
Here's the illegal motion. Now, Mark Bavaro is going forward before the ball is snapped. Once number 44 run in right there. Of course, Walton took him on pretty good, too. But that's the way a fullback and a strong safety are supposed to collide.
Lee Roussan now is in the backfield with Carthon. Second down. Draw play to Carthon. From behind by Mann. And a loss of 2. Charles Mann, who doesn't get the notoriety that Dexter Manley does, but he's a heck of a defensive end.
I'll tell you one thing. He has started here. Here's Charles Mann. That's the 3rd play he's made, and he's made big penetration here all day. Or all day so far. But you see, he's getting into their backfield. I think if you're going to run away from him, Mann is one of those guys who has speed, and you better block him. Don't let him free.
3rd and 13. Sims with Tony Galbraith back deep in the spread with it. Redskins firing on a blitz, and Sims comes out of there. Bad knee and all. Sims is going to get the first down and more. One thing about the blitz, if you don't get him, there's nobody to back up the defensive line.
The Redskins were probably thinking with Sims and the bad knee, you're probably thinking he's not going to run. Watch Charles Mann again. He's working over there on Godfrey. Godfrey just pushes him by right at the end. And that's the little block that springs Sims. And as you said, all the other guys that aren't rushing are back there covering. And there's a 20-yard hole.
First down, Giants at the Redskin 32. They lead 2-0. It's back to Morris. Morris around the corner, out of bounds by Barry Wilburn.
Good block again by Mark Bavaro. You can see that's what, in the last 3 games, those games last year, the Giants did it this way every time to him. And that's how they're starting again today. Bavaro came in motion that time and had a real good lead.
Morris. 2nd and 8 at the Redskin 30. And with protection has Bavaro. Touchdown.
You tighten that defense up, and then you go to your tight end. You go play fake. They're worried about Morris. Bavaro just runs right through their zone, right through their secondary, and in for a score. It seems like when he lines up, when you get around that 20 or 25, you better watch Bavaro. I'd put 3 guys on him.
No fancy pattern. Allegre hits the extra point. Giants with 1.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. Bavaro didn't do any dancing. He just got open.
Well, I'll tell you, that's what he does, and he's such a big target for Phil Sims. Let's see what it looks like on a chalkboard. Here's Bavaro. He's just going to start right here and then go into the post. Phil Sims is going to watch him all the way. When you get inside in this area, that's the guy that they want to go to. Now watch, the whole thing is going to start. You see they have both backs to the weak side. Sims looks off to the left side and throws to Bavaro right down to numbers. I think that look off there by Sims helped get that safety over so that Bavaro could get in there.
He just takes off down the hash mark, and Sims laid it in there. 7 plays. They went 76 yards. Kept the ball 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and they got the 30-yard touchdown pass from Sims to Bavaro. A leg raise kickoff. Goes to Keith Griffin, who slips down right at the 20. For another update, let's take you back to New York again and Brent Musburger.
Pat, the score was tied at the Meadowlands. Driving rainstorm. Jets in Cincinnati. Barry Bennett blocks the field goal. Rich Miano scoops it up and goes 67 yards for the winner. And the Jets remain tied for first in the AFC East on a blocked field goal, 27-20. Back to Pat.
Boy, the Cincinnati Bengals have had a strange and difficult year, haven't they? Monk goes in motion this time. Redskins down 10-0. Schrader back to throw. Gets it out to Kelvin Bryant, trying to pick up the screen. Andy Hinton knocked him out of bounds. This is exactly the kind of situation that took place 3 times last year. The Giants got ahead, and the Redskins had to throw.
That's right. I think in the 3 games in the second half, the Redskins hardly ran the ball at all. These fans are thinking, what the heck's happening? We come here all fired up. Our team's in first place, they're in last, and we're down 10-0.
And that takes that crowd right out of the game. 2nd and 4. Later to Bryant. Eric Dorsey. After a gain of 4, he might be close to a first down.
One thing, the Giants have never been easy to run against. I think the feeling is maybe with Taylor not there, they're not going to be easy, but it could be possible now.
A little bit shy of the first down. Bill Parcells checking how much do they need. Joe Gibbs a little discouraged at the moment. They don't need much. Pat Haggerty, the referee. 10-0 Giants with less than a minute left to play in the first quarter. There's Doug Williams, who's not dressed, not on the active roster today. Started last week. Started to have back spasms late in the Ram game and aggravated him during the week, and then yesterday said, I just can't do it. 3rd and short. Schrader behind the wham block from Johnny Warren. Might have gotten it. While we're waiting for what I'm sure will be another measurement, Cardinals beat Atlanta 34-21. We'd like to welcome them, those of you who watched that victory by St. Louis, to RFK Stadium in Washington, home of the Redskins. Not a very happy home right now. Giants lead 10-0 with 41 seconds left to play in the first quarter. First down.
They did a lot of motion. Watch number 85, Donnie Warren, comes in motion, stops, goes back. Now he's going to lead Jay Schrader there on a quarterback sneak. See, Jay Schrader just stopped, let Warren go in, and then he just followed him in there for about 1.5 inches.
If they needed any more, they wouldn't have gotten it.
All that work for that little distance.
Bought up 4 downs. Here's Schrader outside. Ricky Sanders tackle missed. Sanders to the 47. Mark Collins missed the tackle. Kenny Hill and Terry Kennard brought him down.
Collins really has pretty good coverage, and he's right there, and that would have been about a 1-yard gain. But Sanders makes a little move, gives him the shoulder pad, makes him miss, does a spin, and then he picks up some more yardage.
So So that's the end of the first quarter at RFK Stadium. The Giants 10-0 over the Redskins. 24-yard field goal by Allegre, the first point. And then Phil Simms hit Mark Bavaro with a 30-yard touchdown pass. Big day. And supposed to be for a couple more. The Saints beat Pittsburgh 20-16. Indianapolis 51-27 over Houston. You just saw that update a moment ago. The Jets beat Cincinnati on a blocked field goal. New England and Philadelphia in overtime. Buffalo shut out Miami. St. Louis beat Atlanta. The Bears, after trailing early, beat Green Bay 23-10. The Rams lead Tampa Bay 7-0, and San Diego leads Denver 7-0. Those games started at the same time this one did. It's first down, Redskins. First and 10 at their own 47. Jay Schrader at quarterback in place of the injured Doug Williams. To midfield, a gain of 3. In the event you joined us late, Lawrence Taylor, with that pulled hamstring, which he aggravated last week against the Saints, did not even make the trip. Bill Parcells said, I was just afraid if he was here and dressed, I'd put him in the game, and he'd want to play, and I'm just afraid he would aggravate it again. Second and 7. Dorsey made the stop. Pick up a 4.
Now here's a good matchup. Don Warren against Carl Banks. I mean, those are two of the good blocker and good block defenders in the league. Warren, one of the better blocking tight ends, and Carl Banks, one of the best at playing against the tight end. It's a classic matchup. I would give that one to Banks, huh?
I think so. 3rd and 3. Monk in the motion dance. And Gary Clark, who stays inbound. Now that's the way Jay Schrader used to throw the ball.
And that's the way he has to throw the ball. Jay Schrader will never be a touch quarterback. He's a strong arm guy. He's going to get out there, and that is a long way. The toughest ball to throw for a quarterback and get it completed is an out, a sideline pass, because you not only have to throw it the distance, but of course you have to throw it the width of the field. And that ball was on a line.
1st and 10. Redskins at the Giant 30. Carapello was the man in motion. Kelvin Bryant. Down near the 20. Stopped by Harry Carson, but a pickup of 9. Well, that's one of the things about going in with the kind of philosophy that the Redskins had. They had no success early running, but they said, we got to stick with it.
But I don't know that Kelvin Bryant is the type of guy who you can pound all day. You know, I mean, he's more of a thoroughbred. He's a good pass receiver. In fact, he's the leading pass receiver on this team. You just saw in that last play, he raised his hand to go out to bring George Rogers in.
Rogers has had some frustrating days against the Giants. He's the one back now, and the Redskins one back off from Schrader. Dances away from one, but doesn't get away from Dorsey. Banks was there early.
Well, Dorsey got the penetration. You see, they bring him down here. Here's Dorsey here. Here's where he normally lines up. Here they reduced him into there to get the penetration right here. Usually he's outside that tackle. So the guard starts on him. The tackle starts on him. He just keeps working out, working, and he's right at Schrader's feet. Carl Banks made Schrader bring the ball down. But Dorsey's a big, strong, powerful guy.
3rd and 8. Schrader back to throw again. The Giants on a blitz. Schrader comes out of the pocket. To Clark. Incomplete. Mark Collins was there. He juggled it. And then went out of bounds. Never had control.
That's good coverage here by Mark Collins. I would say if you look at the Redskins' passing game plan, it has to be either to throw the ball to the right side or to work on Collins. I don't remember them throwing on Perry Williams' side, the left side, yet.
Not at all. Ali Haji Sheik with Schrader holding from 46 yards away. Sheik, of course, once a Giant, had a great rookie year there. That's not going to get there. About 5 yards short. The Giants 10, the Redskins nothing. We're in the second quarter with 12:14 left before halftime. The NFL today begins at next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time. San Francisco goes to Green Bay. Philadelphia plays the Giants, the Meadowlands, Atlanta, Dallas, Washington at St. Louis. Rams against Detroit. That's next Sunday. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New Orleans Saints, who have clinched their first winning season in history with their victory over Pittsburgh today. Morris bounces to the outside, got just a yard. Monty Coleman brought him down.
Joe Morris is one of those guys that can hit the hole quickly, and then once he hits the hole, he's hard to tackle because he has that strength in his legs. And guys, one, they can't see him, and then when they go after him, they just kind of bounce off him. And these are big guys like, you know, Butts and
Big guys.
and guys like big old strong guys that bounce off him.
Second down. Navarro on the move. Sims falls down. Fell backwards. Looks as if he just got his feet tangled up with, perhaps with the center, maybe one of the guards.
I don't think anyone touched him on that. I just wonder, unless it was the back that was going by him, looks like his foot just got caught right in the ground. He just tripped. You know how you do that sometimes? You're walking down a sidewalk and you trip, and then you look back at the crack in the sidewalk or something and you smile? That's what he did.
You look and there's nothing there.
And you always smile or laugh after you do it.
Third down. He's 15 for a first. Going deep. Mark Ingram, the intended receiver. He's got some speed. Barry Wilburn back there with him, but the Giants will have to punt.
That was one of the things that Bill Parcells said last night that he's going to do is use Mark Ingram a lot more today and Odessa Turner, another wide receiver who was activated for today's game.
And who they think is going to be very, very good. Eric Yarber is back deep for the Redskins. He almost broke one earlier. Landetta back to kick for the Giants. Another good kick. This is Yarber all the way back inside his own 25. Gets up to about the 32. A 54-yard punt by Landetta. 9-yard return, so they net 45. 10-0.
Now, especially now.
And a punt return, you know, the only guy that can go down are the two outside guys. Watch 83 here. That's Odessa Turner, who was just activated for this game. So since they're the only two that can go down, then you put two guys on them to block them. And it gets kind of rough getting down there.
Well, he's a wide receiver.
I know it. Look
More
at the
ways
other
than one.
side. Here's Adrian White, who was also just activated today. Two guys on him, playing him off, hitting him, doubling him. But he's going to get a piece of the tackle. But you have to go through a lot to get there. You don't realize when you see the guy at the end of the play what the guy went through to get to that play.
You really got to want to get there, don't you?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
First and 10 Redskins at their own 32. They trail 10-0. Schrader on first down. Incomplete. Intended for Monk, but behind and low.
You know, Joe Gibbs feels that they're in first place. They got a 3-game lead, but they're not playing well. And that's a dilemma. You know, I mean, you like that satisfaction maybe of having a big lead, but you wish that you were playing to that level. And he doesn't feel that his team is.
Second down and 10 at the 32. Monk in motion. He keeps looking at the man who's defending. Later. Outside to Monk. Mark Collins knocked him out of bounds. The Skins game. The final results. Trevino won $310,000. Nicholas 70. Buzzy Zeller 70. Arnold Palmer was shut out. But Trevino made a hole-in-one at the 17th hole to pick up $180,000 of that final figure. Third down and 3 at the 39. Later back to back. As time. Clark lose the ball. Scramble. Still the Redskins. I think they knocked it out of bounds. And Clark did have possession. Gain of 12.
That had to be a frustrating thing for both teams. That ball just sitting there in the sideline. Watch Clark. He gives a little stop, a little go, and then a little comeback. He catches the ball. Now he's fighting for more yardage. The ball pops out. But watch it just sit there in the sideline. By the time the Giants get there, they knock it out of bounds.
Of course, it goes back to the Redskins because Clark was the last man with possession.
Clark looks like a football player who played 20 years ago.
And can play 20 more years. That's Monk in motion. Redskins pick up the blitz. Caravello was the intended receiver, and it was Reasons who unloaded on him.
I think we're going to see more and more of Gary Reasons in this Giant defense. Remember, in the offseason, he held out, really didn't have any training camp. Pepper Johnson started in his place, and I think that as this season goes on for the Giants, Gary Reasons will get back in his spot.
Second down now for the Redskins, and 10 at the Giants' 49. Play to Kelvin Bryant. Only got a couple. Reasons again on the stop.
Well, and Jim Bird, I think, tripped him up at first. That's the one thing. You're not going to get a big pass rush from your nose tackle. But you hope if they run a draw, you hope that he'll make the play for you. Just watch Bird. He'll start in here, then he's on the ground here, and he just trips up Bryant as he comes in. So you always have a bunch of guys on you. You got a center, then you got the guard, then you look like you can spin. Right there, he just got his arm on him. That held him up enough.
On third down. Schrader back in the pocket. Got Ricky Sanders open just over his head. Just out of reach. Harry Williams back that time.
Ricky Sanders knew he had him. And Jay Schrader is just an inch off on those long passes. They've had some things there, and that has to be a little frustrating. But I think you can also feel if we stay with them, we're going to get some of those.
9:41 left to play in the first half now. Giants 10, Redskins nothing. Steve Cox back to punt. He's going to let it go. That one will go into the end zone. So the Giants will take over at their own 20-yard line. With 9.5 minutes left to play in the second quarter, they lead 10-0. RFK Stadium in Washington. The Giants lead the Redskins 10-0. 9:31 left to play in the first half. Pat Summerall and John Madden.
There's Barry Wilburn, Pat. He broke a finger in practice this week, one of his index fingers.
Got the gloves on and a cast on underneath that. Here's Sims back to throw. Flushed out of the pocket. Gets it out to Morris. Morris up the sideline. Knocked out of bounds to Redskins 45. Todd Bowles finally finally got him out of bounds, but a pickup of 25 from Sims to Morris.
I think the Giants were lucky there. The Redskins were complaining on their side that Mark Ingram clipped on that play. It was a good block by Ingram. He got out there in front of Joe Morris and got a block that helped spring him. The Redskins were yelling, clip, clip, clip.
It was right in front of Joe Gibbs.
I know it. You usually see those things.
Baker Emanuel now the wide receivers. Morris the ball carrier. He hammers close to midfield, a fumble. But he was down. He was down. Gain of 3.
Down by contact, by rule. The ball goes back to the offensive team. Second.
I think the contact was Mel Kaufman, Redskin linebacker. He was working his way in there, working down the line, and Joe Morris just ran into him.
That's that rule that's just been clarified, I guess you'd say, the last couple of weeks. Pat Haggerty said. Down by contact. Second down. Up the middle to Carthon, who can't hang on. Sims doesn't look like he's feeling any effect of that knee injury that kept him out 3 weeks.
No, he said the only thing on Wednesday he said that was bothering him was a drop back because he had to think of dropping back. And he said he really didn't look very good doing it. And he said, you know, you're not only thinking of what's going on, but you're thinking of how do you drop back. And he said Thursday he felt a little better, and then Friday he was back to normal.
You wouldn't think as long as he's been a quarterback that you'd have to do those things. But that's why you have practice, I guess.
Every day.
Third down. Sims to Mark Ingram. And the first-round draft choice comes up with it, a pickup of 18.
Well, the Giants feel that their first-round draft choice, you know, because of the strike and everything that got on, that Ingram just this week is ready to start playing. He's been playing on special teams, but they said, we're going to start using him more and more. Watch Brad Benson here on Dexter Manley. Remember the last time they played here in Washington, Brad Benson, because of his blocking on Manley, was NFL Offensive Player of the Week.
Here's Carthon straight ahead inside the 30. Gain of 7. Clock running with just over 8 minutes left. Alvin Walton has had to make a lot of tackles as this game has progressed.
I think getting Maurice Carthon back in that offense has helped it too. I mean, it's given it a certain thing to their running game and a certain toughness maybe that they didn't have in the early part of the season.
I think you're very correct. Odessa Turner split wide to the right. Lamaro in motion. They give the ball again to Carthon, and he's inside the 20. 25. Olkowitz on the stop.
If you look at who's been scoring the Giants touchdowns, they're scoring not only their touchdowns, but all their scoring. You can see that it's been a big part. 72 points to wide receivers, 48 on the kickers. Now, the running backs only 18 points this year. I think that has a lot to do, partly with the offensive line, but partly by Carthon.
First down, Giants. Redskins showing a blitz, and now they back out. I think they just called off the blitz. Sims is automatic. Let's see what happens. For an NFL update, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Pat, after a grueling overtime, Philadelphia finally beats New England on this McFadden, a 38-yard field goal. Franklin missed a 31 and a 46-yarder, and the Eagles beat the Patriots. New England 0-10 in overtime. Back to Pat and John.
And the Eagles certainly not out of it with this result here today, nor are the Cardinals. 2nd and 10. This is obviously not a result as yet, but if it stays like this, the Cardinals and the Eagles both winning, again the Redskins show blitz. Sims backs out. The blitz this time works. came up with it.
Usually those offensive linemen, when the ball ends up in their hands, they don't know what to do with it. Art looked like he knew what to do with it. You just start running towards the goal line. Guys, bounce off. Shake your head. See what happens. But you're going to see the blitz on the left-hand side. Carthon steps in, picks up Grant. And we see the run. The ball comes out. Look at Art picks it up. He just runs over a couple of guys. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, he got up shaking his head, too. He had some cobwebs in there.
Well, they took his yards away from him. After it all ended, they brought it back to where it began. And the Giants call a timeout. Those of you who watched that thriller between New England and Philadelphia with the Eagles winning, we're at RFK Stadium where the Giants lead the Redskins 10-0 with 6:07 left in the first half.
Whether it's a simple office phone or a large custom-tailored telecommunications system, whether it's voice only or voice and data, digital switching, transmission equipment, tie lines, Watts lines, multiple long-distance hookups, there's one company that can do it all. No, GTE.
Great. But we wanted a Bud Light.
Bud Light!
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it. Now go get pizza. Bud Light. Because everything else is just so right.
Just in time, American Express introduces Purchase Protection. It ensures almost any
Redskins 10-0. It'll be 3rd and 11 with the ball at the Redskins 25.
Well, the Giants finally got their timeout. Bill Parcells was yelling for a timeout because the Redskins would come up and fake a blitz, and they would audible and go back and forth, and finally got tired of it. Let's take timeout. Let's talk about it.
3 wide receivers for the Giants. Ends intended for Stephen Baker. Behind him and incomplete. Barry Wilburn was the nearest Redskin defender. And Raul Allegre gets a little encouragement from his holder, Jeff Rutledge.
That was good coverage there by Wilburn. I think Sims just had to throw it away. Go with his field goal.
It's going to be 43 yards. Allegre has hit one from 24. He's hit one from 43 with plenty of distance, and it's 13-0 with 5:58 left in the first half.
What does Morris have? Oh, yeah. And Carthon does, too. You know, and then it just seems to pick.
Or can the Bucks stop the surprise power of the year, the Saints, next Sunday on CBS Sports?
Just starting to get dark in the nation's capital. The Capitol in the background. Maybe you could see the Washington Monument behind. Not particularly cold in the mid-50s, but a damp, dark, dismal day. Keith Griffin at the 12. Griffin dancing up the sideline. Out of bounds at about the 35. Return of 20. Stopped by Adrian White. 5:50 left to play in the first half, and the Giants up 13-0. 15 for 83 yards. No touchdowns and the one interception. First and 10, Washington at their own 33. They trail 13-0. Giants overshift. to Monk. They went into the strength of the defense with Kelvin Bryant. Monk came around. George Martin, not fooled. Gain of 4, however.
Tell you one thing, the Redskins have only rushed for 29 yards. And when you play a team like the Giants, you have to get some movement on the nose tackle. That was the reason that the Redskins moved Jeff Bostic out of center, moved Russ Grimm back in. Grimm is hurt. They played McKenzie. Now they're back to Grimm. And I think that's one of their problems right now.
On second down, the Giants flip. Schrader has to come out of the pocket, chased by Carson and by Banks, and also by Hedden. Second sack by the Giants.
You see what they do is we can see Carl Banks. He's in here now. He's usually out here, but he's moving around, taking some of the thing that Taylor does. And he's one of the blitz guys. You see him start, they get 2 guys coming up the middle. Schrader is going to that outside. There's Andy Hedden blitzing to that outside. There's Carson. There's Hedden. And here comes Banks. Once you can stop the run, then you can really go after him on that pass.
Makes it 3rd and 23. Schrader out of the pocket. Might have been over the line of scrimmage. He was. Intended for Bryant. Nothing there. Flag on the play.
Illegal forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage.
That's what they were going to say, that Schrader, as he rolled out, went over the line of scrimmage before he threw the ball.
Pass was incomplete anyway. So it brings up 4th and 23. Schrader right now not being booed exactly, but certainly not being cheered by the Redskin crowd.
I think we can see the difference in the quarterbacks. I think that Schrader doesn't have as much confidence because he can't get a running game going. On the other side, I think Sims is getting a lot of confidence because he does have some running going.
Steve Cox standing back right at the end zone, right at the goal line, and Phil McConkey out at the 40. Down at the 45 by Monty Coleman. So the Giants will take over at the Redskin 45-yard line with 4:25 left to play in the first half. 13-0. RFK Stadium in Washington, the home of the Redskins. The Giants lead 13-0. 4:25 left to play in the first half. Pat Summerall with John Madden. And the Giants have the ball in Redskin territory at their 44, 1st and 10. Inside the 40. Todd Bowles finally brought him down, but he scrambled for 7.
Watch Dave Butts there, number 65. He's on Chris Godfrey. The thing you have to do on defense is get penetration. Now, Butts gets penetration. Look at him. He takes Godfrey right into the backfield. The only thing is he runs right by Joe Morris, or Joe Morris runs right by him.
And got 7 yards. Make it 2nd and 3. Left side. Not much room this time. Cut down by Alvin Walton. Loss of 2. Sims is 5 out of 10. 104 yards. The touchdown pass to Bavaro. Schrader 7 out of 15 or 83 yards. 1 interception. But the fact that the Redskins have not been able to run is a much bigger factor than that.
That was why Sims had a smile on his face and Schrader didn't.
3rd and 5. Baker to the right. Manuel to the left. They give straight ahead to Carthon, who barrels close to first down yardage. Pickup of 4. Monty Coleman hit him and knocked him back. It's going to be a little bit shy, I think.
And I would bet the way the Giants are going now that they would go for it on 4th down. If you can't tell me that Carthon doesn't make a difference, he doesn't have the stats. Now, it's not going to look good in the statistics and all this, but he gives this team some toughness. And it looks like everyone gets picked up. You know, I mean, the line blocks better. Joe Morris runs better. The whole thing has a better feel about it for the Giants than when he's not in there. I mean, you know, George Adams may be faster, he may be a better receiver and all those things, but you need a couple of tough guys in there.
That's what they need for the first down. Rams shutting out Tampa Bay, and Denver has moved ahead of San Diego in the second quarter now. And you're right. They're going to go for it.
Well, it's that type of game where they have things going for them, and I think that they have that feel. I think they have to do that in this situation.
They have what appears to be, it looks like a 3 tight end, but the guy on the other side is William Roberts, who's a tackle. They give to Morris, and he could be gone. Out of bounds at about the 17. Darrell Green knocked Morris out, or he ran out after a gain of 17.
Zeke Moad comes in motion, so he's going to end up to be the lead blocker out there on Barry Wilburn, the corner. See, he gets Wilburn in enough, so when Morris starts inside, he can see out to his left he has a soft corner. So he just bounces it out, then out some more, and finally out of bounds.
You know, John, I think that's an example right there of Morris being short, being an advantage. Because Wilburn couldn't see him behind Moab.
Oh, he started to peek to the inside thing of where he was going, then he couldn't see him getting outside of him.
Stopped by Darrell Grant. Game 3. We get down to about the Redskins 15.
It's funny how you play someone so much in your division, like the Giants and Redskins play, and they have all those stats and all the tapes and everything, and they go over and over, and you end up doing the same things you've always done. They go back, the Giants go back to the run. Maybe they should have looked at these tapes early in the season.
Russon has replaced Morris, but Carthon gets the carry. It's inside the 15. 13-0. Giants lead the Redskins. Clock running at 2 minutes, 10 seconds now left to play in the first half. Giants have used 1 timeout, so they have 2 left, but they'll stop it now at the 2-minute warning. Nothing. Sims the touchdown to Bavaro, and Allegre 2 field goals. We'll go to New York for the NFL today. Brent, Herb, and the Greek will have scores and highlights from around the league. Also a special interview with Secretary of State George Shultz, a former player and longtime fan of football. All coming up at the half.
That's a different way to look at football, huh? Diplomatically. Now there's football. I mean, football, the rain coming down, the grass, the mud, the running game, the fullback, the boom. Hanging off.
Russon and Adams are the setbacks now for the Giants. Sims heads for the end zone. Odessa Turner was the intended receiver. Barry Wilburn was the Redskin defender, and here comes Allegre again. He's hit twice from 24 and 42. Rutledge will do the holding. This will be 30 yards out. Perfect. He's 3 for 3. He might be a better kicker in adverse elements. 16-0. Giants over at Washington. The team that's able to run the football is going to be the one that's successful.
And I think that both teams are those types of teams. You know, you can talk about their quarterbacks and change quarterbacks and injuries and so on, but it's going to be who can run and how they run.
Here's Ricky Sanders, who brought it out from about 5 yards deep in the end zone before he stopped by Phil McConkey. And Sanders is about the most exciting thing that's happened to the Redskins in the first half.
You know, we talked about the Redskins working all week on special teams. They brought in a friend of Joe Gibbs, Paul Lanham, who was a special teams coach with the Redskins and with George Allen. And he has been helping with this team, and they changed some personnel around, and that's one of the areas that they want to be better on. They look a little better at that, but they're still not running the ball.
A minute 46 left to play in the first half. Monk, the motion man. Schrader back to throw. Gets it outside to Bryant, who has Bostic in front of him. Bostic got a good block. Terry Kennard knocked him out of bounds. Rain continues. In fact, it might be a little bit harder now than earlier. To summarize, the Giants have gotten 10 points off 2 turnovers. Allegri has 3 for 3 in field goals. And they picked up 96 yards on 34 rushes. Didier and Monk move wide to the left. It's really starting to rain. 2nd and 1. Schrader gets Monk. First down. Stopped by Wayne Haddock. Didier and Monk to the left again. Schrader, no huddle. Just ready to go. Chased out of the pocket by Martin. Schrader down the sideline and out of bounds. Inside the 40 to the 38. Redskins have all 3 of their, I beg your pardon. Yes, they do have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. But Schrader stopped it with that run out of bounds. Gained 15. Got a first down.
Well, now that they have a first down, they have a minute 8 seconds left with all 3 of their timeouts. They have plenty of time. Now they can get back, they can huddle up, they can call good plays. They don't have to have that hurry-up offense anymore.
And they don't have to try to get it all at once. Ended for Clark. Knocked out of bounds by Collins.
You know, somewhere in this, Pat, I think they're going to have to start to look to Art Monk. I know that they don't throw a lot to their tight ends. They do to their running back, Kelvin Bryant. They're throwing a lot to Gary Clark, and I don't remember that Art Monk has caught a pass yet today.
He caught one just across the middle just a minute ago for about a 9-yard gain. You need more than that out of Monk. Monk and Sanders split wide to the left this time. Monk keeps looking at Haddock, who's covering him. Sanders, another Redskin first down. Now he's got to use the timeout, and does. A gain of 13.
Well, he does, and that gives them their first down, and he's in field goal position now.
57 seconds remaining in the first half. Over the Redskins. Both teams now have 2 timeouts remaining. Eric Howard, Leonard Marshall, and George Martin will be the rushers for the Giants.
Yeah, I count the Giants have 12 guys out there, Pat. And I would think if you just look at those guys, look here. There goes the guy off right now. Well, if they play with that many, they're going to get caught because they've had a lot of time to count them.
Redskins first and 10. The ball at the Giants 25. Marshall moved the wrong way. Howard moved him back. They blitz, and Banks is successful. 3rd sack.
And that was a big play for the Giants because, as we said, they had him in field goal position. The Redskins had themselves in field goal position. Banks just comes from his backside. They had a man on him. They had Don Warren on him. Banks just went right through Don Warren and got Jay Schrader.
58 began to look like 56.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think that in one case that Andy Hedden has taken Lawrence Taylor's place, but I think in some of the things that Taylor does, I think Banks is doing them. Because we saw him on that blitz, and we also saw him earlier where he was in the middle. But now he's going to start out there on the left-hand side. He's out there coming from the outside right here. Now watch him there over Donnie Warren. Starts right here. And he just runs right over, right by, and right through him.
Just overpowered him. Second down. Warren goes in motion. Here comes that all-out blitz again. Flag is down. Schrader is short. Intended for Clark. With Mark Collins back there with him, but a penalty marker down. It'll be against the Redskins. They're headed in the wrong direction.
Holding, offense, number 63, second down.
I'll tell you, watch Banks come up on this one. He's going to come up the middle. Now watch McKenzie. McKenzie comes over and gets him, takes him down, and that was the holding penalty that they called from here. It looked like a pretty good block. Here comes Banks on the blitz. Raleigh McKenzie is right there. He takes him to the ground, but it was a 10-yard penalty.
Second and 25. 46 seconds left to play in the first half now. Here comes Banks again. Here comes Carson again. And there goes Schrader again in the arms of Leonard Marshall. Talk about taking yourself out of field goal range.
They went backward fast. This thing, they were down to the 25 when they used the timeout. Now they've lost 25 yards. Watch the blitz here. Carson is going to come right up the middle, right there. He's the first guy. He's the guy that breaks through, that makes Schrader put the ball down, and he also makes the tackle. Oh, Leonard Marshall ends up on top of him.
The Redskins finally took a timeout. And again, the Giants go on a blitz. This time they pick it up. Clark. Taken and slung out of bounds by Andy Hedden.
I don't know that Andy Hedden wanted to throw him out of bounds.
Well, the clock's still running.
Bill Parcells wants a timeout now. I don't know that I would
Still running.
I don't know that I would want a timeout anyway. Because you're going to get the ball with so far to go and so little time, why even take a punt return?
They'll get the ball with only 5 seconds remaining, assuming the Redskins punt it.
Well, the Redskins could run a fake punt here. That's what I would do. I would just have the guy run. You don't even have to punt it, really.
1983.
Redskins are going to line up in punt formation. They need some more players, it looks like.
Well, I think they put their offense back in.
Oh, did
and they have Jay Schrader in there. I think they figure that they can run a play, but they have to watch out because it's an automatic timeout. After fourth down, that change of possession. When the ball's dead, the clock stops.
4th and 33, Parcells says to his defensive back, get back, get back. He's going to throw the Hail Mary to the left. I hope somebody can come down with it. Incomplete, out of the end zone. That's the end of the first half. The Redskins 16-0. But let's again go back to what we talked about.